Hello everyone. Welcome back. Today, we've got some crucial news you don't want to miss. Let's dive right into the top financial headlines and break down what's happening. We're sharing a report from the Wall Street Journal that looks at the impact of the Fed's high interest rates. The headline is, "The biggest losers from high US rates might be abroad." Here's the deal, the Federal Reserve has aggressively raised its benchmark interest rates to fight inflation. Even after 3 rate cuts in 2024, the Fed's rates are still pretty high. This has led to a weird situation where every time the Fed makes a big move, other major economies are left struggling. The Wall Street Journal article digs into how the Fed's rate hikes are messing with other economies, and it's an interesting angle. A lot of international media play catch-up. For example, after the 2008 financial crisis, the US bounced back faster than Europe, which lagged by about 5 years. Now, with the Fed's inflation-fighting moves, it looks like other countries are trying to adjust in the same direction, but they're still a bit behind. Here's a breakdown of what the article says. In mid-December 2024, the Fed's latest policy meeting got some heat from stock investors. While they lowered rates for the 3rd time in a row, their stance for 2025 was still hawkish. Despite this, there was a decent rally in the S&P 500 and Nasdaq during the holiday period. On the other hand, Europe's stock market, the Stoxx 600, has been struggling. Europe's situation is different. The Eurozone and the UK's economies haven't fully recovered to pre-pandemic growth levels. There are fewer tech companies, and their fiscal stimulus isn't as strong as what the US has. China's manufacturing boom is also threatening Europe's export-driven economy. One big point that stood out, a survey showed that high borrowing costs are affecting demand for loans in Europe more than in the US. The European Central Bank, ECB, and Bank of England, BOE, have been slow to react to this. Even though the ECB cut rates first this year and the BOE is a bit behind, they've generally been following the Fed's rate cuts over the last few years. But Europe's borrowing costs are still lower than the US, the ECB's rate is at 3%, while the Fed's target is between 4.25% and 4.5%. As we head into 2025, the article predicts that the economic gap between the US and Europe will continue to widen, meaning that the BOE and ECB will need to take action. The final takeaway? Europe and the UK are mostly just following the Fed's lead, but they're not moving as quickly, and they lack the kind of strong fiscal policies the US has. That puts the US in a stronger position overall, especially with its higher productivity. Now, here's what I think. This article is highlighting a real possibility: Europe might fall behind the US in fighting inflation this time around. Even though Europe's inflation is lower than the US's right now, their economic growth has been suffering. The US, on the other hand, is trying to balance fighting inflation with a soft landing for the economy. So, in that sense, the US is ahead of Europe and the UK in terms of monetary policy. But there's one key thing the article glosses over: why has Europe been slow to catch up after the 2008 crisis and now with inflation? It points out something small but crucial: the lack of a tech sector in Europe. That's the big reason the gap between the US and Europe has been growing. Europe doesn't have the kind of tech-driven innovation that the US has. And it's not just the US that's competing with Europe. China's manufacturing is rapidly replacing Europe's industrial base. This is a big problem for Europe that they seem reluctant to face. For a long time, the world mocked the US for deindustrializing, but now the US is leading the global tech wave. Meanwhile, Europe is facing a second wave of manufacturing loss, and they don't have the innovative industries to fill the gap. That's a big issue that's bound to spark more debate. Alright, here's the second major news story I want to share with you. This one's from Bloomberg, and the headline reads, "Putin apologizes to Azeri president after deadly plane crash." Here's what happened: a tragic incident took place in Russian airspace involving an Azerbaijani passenger plane. The crash resulted in dozens of casualties. Today, Russian President Vladimir Putin issued an apology to Azerbaijan's President, Ilham Aliyev. According to a statement from the Kremlin, Putin and Aliyev discussed the details of the flight during a phone call on Saturday. The flight was traveling from Baku to Grozny. Putin expressed his condolences and apologized for the tragic event that occurred in Russian airspace. But here's where it gets interesting: Putin didn't admit to any wrongdoing on Russia's part. That's why this story is making waves in international media. While Putin apologized because the crash happened in Russian airspace, he didn't outright say that Russia was responsible for shooting down the plane. The Kremlin's statement included some odd phrasing, saying Russia was sorry for any physical and technical interference with the aircraft. Now, that kind of language has led many to speculate that Russia's air defense systems might have been involved. But even with this wording, Russia stopped short of admitting to any deliberate or human-caused action. Bloomberg also reported that during the call, Putin gave a reason for the incident. He claimed that when the Azerbaijani plane was passing through Russian airspace, Ukraine was conducting fighter jet attacks in the area. The implication? Putin saying this whole thing was basically Ukraine's fault. If Ukraine hadn't attacked, Russia wouldn't have accidentally targeted the civilian plane. So, after all this back and forth, here's what stands out: Russia's refusal to take direct responsibility. They're apologizing just enough to calm Azerbaijan down, but not enough to admit blame. And let's be real, Azerbaijan isn't exactly in a position to push back against Russia or Putin. They're probably going to have to accept the apology and move on. This story gives us another glimpse into how the Russian government operates. Their logic and rhetoric can be incredibly stubborn and, frankly, pretty shady. Alright, here's a big one that's been making waves lately: some drama surrounding Elon Musk. There are three key things going on with him right now. Let's break them down. First off, Musk has stirred up some serious controversy on social media these past couple of days. The issue? Immigration. It all started with some heated debates about immigration policies in the US, particularly among Trump supporters. Many of these folks, especially working-class voters, are really upset about the current immigration system. They feel like immigrants are taking away their jobs. One major point of contention is the H-1B visa program, which is for foreign workers in high-skilled jobs. There's a lot of talk about whether the US should reduce or even eliminate these work visas. Musk's companies, Tesla, SpaceX, and his platform X, formerly Twitter, rely on a lot of foreign tech talent. So if H-1B visas were restricted, it could seriously hurt the US tech industry. Musk weighed in on this issue on X, saying that we shouldn't be cutting down on these work visas, since it's crucial to have top global talent. Well, this really set off a storm. The hardcore MAGA crowd went wild, calling Musk a traitor. They were like, "Hey, didn't you say we should kick out immigrants? What happened to that?" So Musk found himself in the middle of a huge online clash between the most conservative factions and the rest of the world. But there's more to this story. During this whole debate, Neera Tanden, who's currently the chair of Biden's Domestic Policy Council, posted something on X that caught Musk's attention. Tanden, who's of Indian descent, wrote that as an Indian American born in the US, she feels like the Democratic Party sees her as an American, but a lot of Republicans don't. She said that while Republicans may claim to be against immigration, they're also excluding people like her, who are already US citizens. Musk saw this post and, well, it hit him in a different way. He was already in a heated exchange with the MAGA crowd, who were throwing all sorts of insults at him. So, when he saw Tanden's post, it seemed to resonate with him. He actually agreed with her, which was a bit of a twist. It was almost like he was saying, yeah, the Democrats have their issues, but I can relate to what she's saying about how some people in the GOP treat others. Musk, fired up from all the online bashing, retweeted Tanden's post, and added his own thoughts. He basically called out the hardcore racists in the GOP, saying they need to be cleansed, or else they're going to drag the party down. He went on to say that these people, no matter what flag they wave, are just racists, plain and simple. So, this whole situation just escalated. Musk has now officially broken with the extreme right wing of the GOP, calling for the removal of the disgusting elements within the party. It's the first time Musk has publicly gone head-to-head with the MAGA crowd, and it's definitely not going to be the last. In short, this is a major political showdown between Musk and some of the most extreme conservative forces in the US politics right now. And the drama's only heating up. So, with all this drama between Elon Musk and his hardcore fans, you might be wondering, what does Trump think about all of this? Well, Trump being Trump, he responded in his own signature way. Here's what he did: he took what seemed to be a private message to Musk and made it public. Yep, he shared it with everyone. The message looked like a personal note, but by making it public, Trump sent a not-so-subtle signal to the world. Here's what the message said, more or less: "Dear Elon, it's been a while since I've seen you. When are you coming back to the center of the universe, Mar-a-Lago? Now, on the surface, this looks like Trump just casually reaching out to Musk, acting like everything's totally fine between them. It's a classic Trump move to downplay any tension and show that their relationship is still solid. But was there a little bit of a warning hidden in there? If you just go by the words, it doesn't seem like it. However, the way American media is interpreting this, Trump's message was his way of trying to keep the peace. It's like he's saying, hey Elon, let's not let this disagreement with the MAGA crowd get too out of hand. We're all on the same team, right? The thing is, at this point, it's hard to see Musk patching things up with the ultra-conservative wing of Trump's base. The reality is, Musk has to look out for his businesses. If he aligns with the extreme anti-immigration stance that some MAGA supporters are pushing, it could seriously hurt his companies. So, even though Trump's move was an attempt to smooth things over, the divide between Musk and the hardcore MAGA faction might be too big to bridge. It's a classic case of personal and business interests clashing with political ideology, and it doesn't look like it's getting resolved anytime soon. Thirdly, here's another interesting update about Elon Musk. Recently, Musk made some waves on X, formerly Twitter, when he told Germans that they should vote for the Alternative for Germany, AfD, party in their upcoming election on February 23. According to Musk, the AfD is the only party that can save Germany. Unsurprisingly, this sparked a huge backlash from mainstream political parties in Germany. Both the ruling party and opposition parties blasted him for it. But Musk didn't back down. Instead, he took the battle straight to Germany's influential Bild am Sonntag, Sunday World, newspaper, publishing a long-form article in which he doubled down on his stance. This is pretty unusual for Musk, who doesn't typically write detailed op-eds. In his article, he essentially told the German media, "You guys hate me, but I'm still going to lay out why I think the AfD is Germany's only hope." His article got a lot of attention, and a lot of people in Germany are still talking about it. He starts off by addressing the common claim that the AfD is an extreme right party. Musk countered this by offering an example that might make people rethink that label. He pointed to Alice Weidel, the AfD's top leader, and explained that she worked in China for 6 years. Plus, she's openly gay and is currently in a relationship with a Sri Lankan immigrant. Musk argued, how can you call someone like that far-right if she's a gay woman with an immigrant partner? That opening really threw some people off. Traditionally, far-right parties are known for being opposed to things like LGBTQ rights and immigration. So Musk's point was hard to argue against. It definitely got Germans thinking, but also left them scratching their heads. Of course, the article caused a major stir within the Bild am Sonntag editorial team. The paper's opinion editor, Carol, took to X to announce his resignation, saying the article should never have been published. But the paper's new editor-in-chief, Bolgard, defended the article, stating that Musk's commentary was thought-provoking and that it's important to support freedom of speech. However, Bolgard also made it clear that he disagreed with Musk's conclusion. He doesn't think the AfD is the solution to Germany's problems. Still, he felt the article should be published because it sparked an important conversation. So now, Germany is in full debate mode. Musk's article is fueling discussions on both sides, and it's safe to say this isn't the last we've heard of it. Whether you agree with him or not, Musk's boldness is definitely getting people talking, and it's making waves in German politics. That's all for today. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more updates. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.